This is the DAR Today podcast, and I'm your host, Brooke Stewart. Well, as this episode is premiering on the 13th of January, we wanted to jump right into this episode today with something that happened that was significant in our American history. On January 14th, 1784, the Treaty of Paris was ratified by the Congress of the United States while they met in the Senate chamber of the Maryland State House. The treaty formally ended the Revolutionary War and established the United States as a free and independent nation. Now, one of my favorite bits of the treaty was worded thus: "It having pleased the divine providence to dispose the hearts of the most serene and the most potent Prince George III, by the grace of God, King of Great Britain, France and Ireland, Defender of the Faith, Duke of Brunswick and Lunenburg, Arch-Treasurer and Prince-Elector of the Holy Roman Empire, etc., and of the United States of America, to forget all past misunderstandings and differences that have unhappily interrupted the good correspondence and friendship which they mutually wish to restore, and to establish such a beneficial and satisfactory intercourse between the two countries upon the ground of reciprocal advantages and mutual convenience, as may promote and secure to both perpetual peace and harmony, and having for this desirable end already laid the foundation of peace and reconciliation by the provisional articles signed at Paris, etc., etc." Well, the treaty had been signed by delegates from the United States and Great Britain, as well as France and Spain, in Paris on September 3rd, 1783. Congress assent was required for the treaty to take effect, and delegates were called to convene at Annapolis, then serving actually as the nation's capital at that time in November of 1783. Well, the treaty stipulated that Congress approve and return the document to England within 6 months of being signed. However, representatives from 9 of the 13 states were required to be present for Congress to proceed. And it was nearly 6 weeks until enough members assembled to hold a vote. Well, mindful of the nearly 2 months required to cross the Atlantic at that time, they were worried and concerned that a sufficient number of delegates wouldn't arrive in time. Well, in early January 1784, they began to consider voting on ratification with the delegates they already had present. So upon the arrival of Richard Beresford of South Carolina in Annapolis just a few days later, a quorum was reached and Congress voted unanimously to ratify the treaty. So Congress then ordered that a proclamation was issued by every state notifying them that the treaty had been signed, that it had been ratified, and that peace was at hand. In fact, one such announcement given by Governor Paca of Maryland, asking that, and I quote, "all the good citizens of this state observe and carry into effect the treaty's requirements and to live properly as citizens of this new republic," end quote. Just my own aside on this, imagine that. We count it as normal to act as citizens of these United States, but this was new. And as of that document being ratified, you were now to live as members of this new republic. What a tremendous shift that must have been. Well, I have to tell you, to talk about this story today, I consulted a wonderful resource. We're always looking for important dates or anniversaries or commemorations to chat with you about on the DAR Today podcast. And so one of my favorite places to get this information is actually our very own DAR calendar. Every month at the bottom of the page, I don't know if you know this, there are important reminders and dates with regard to our society and our nation's history. So I would encourage you with this new calendar we've all received to take a look at those dates with each new month. When you turn the page, notice those historical American dates there. Now be sure to check out your new calendar. I don't know if you've been able to do so, but our members in this one, they shine with grace and hospitality. In fact, each page is better than the next. Now, I will say personally that I was so humbled, in fact, gobsmacked, I think is the word I want to use there, that I was chosen to grace the month of January with our Kitchen Island buffet. So My husband and I were just floored. You should have seen him. I wish you could have, helping out with the light reflectors and the whole thing with the photographer. It was just great. Now, one other quick thing that we want to announce. If you have not yet been able to be on the Daughters Online community lately, also known as the DOC, as you probably know, I think you will be thrilled to see the update there. If you're familiar with a platform like Facebook, let's say, that when you pull it up, you see a feed of comments and posts there. Well, now our community page is much the same. So any community or community groups to which you belong will show up there. So, for example, I've joined the American History group, that community, the America 250 group, things like that. I think I've pretty much joined every single group, as I'm really curious about everything that we do in DAR, how we sparkle and shine in our communities with all these different committees. But anyway, you'll see all of the recent activity of all of those different committees and groups there on the main page. Now, that view you see in that feed, it's easily customizable. So you can check that out and ask any questions that you need to there. So it's such a great update. So kudos to Kate Johans and Dee Williamson and the whole gang. Great job there. So last week, wasn't that a treat to hear from our C.A.R. National Chair, Vicki Voris? She really had some great, interesting things to say about the Children of the American Revolution Society. I got some neat comments from people saying that they learned so much that they did not know about the C.A.R. And so this whole month, actually in January, it's all about the kids. So today's episode, we have an interview with a young man that I have been completely blown away by the more I get to know him, Emerson Sites-Byers. And he's the national president for C.A.R., or again, Children of the American Revolution, for those who are new here. That means he serves C.A.R. much in the same way as our President General does for DAR, with the exception that in C.A.R. there's an adult counterpart to any leadership position there. So today then, we will also have that interview with Jeffrey Voris. He is the senior national president of C.A.R. And yes, that name sounds familiar, right? He is the husband to Vicki Voris. We have a very dedicated family in the Vorises. Their dedication to the next generation is really apparent and actually really lovely. So as with every nonprofit organization and how they rely on outside funds, we want to chat too in a segment today for just a bit about some of the easiest ways to help these outstanding kids who show great courage in the ways they serve our great nation. Now, you know, we always ask you to like and subscribe to this podcast, however it is you listen or watch it, and click that notification bell so that you'll be alerted when we have new episodes up. But hey, as always, thank you so much for being here with us today. So Emerson Sites-Byers and Jeffrey Voris, welcome. Of course, Emerson, you are the national president for Children of the American Revolution. And Jeffrey, you are the senior national president for the Children of the American Revolution. Of course, everybody says C.A.R., right?
Yes.
Welcome today. And Emerson, why don't you tell us a little bit about your national project?
This year we're supporting the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Tunnel to Towers was founded because Stephen Siller was a firefighter getting off his shift. He was going to play a round of golf with his family. He saw that the first tower had been struck by the plane. So he grabbed his pickup truck and his gear, drove to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, which led to just outside of the towers. So he ran with all of his gear through that tunnel, and he lost his life saving other people. So his family, Frank Siller and his family, created the Tunnel to Towers Foundation because of that. So our focus this year for fundraising is remodeling homes for injured first responders, and also building smart homes for injured first responders.
And what was the reasoning behind choosing this particular foundation or this project?
Well, my parents and I, we kind of watch TV every year when 9/11 comes around. And so one time just watching TV, I saw Tunnel to Towers come on. I was like, man, this is a pretty cool organization we have here. And then I saw a 5-day documentary series of different people through their time on 9/11. It really kind of sparked a fire in me to help those first responders and people who were victims of those terrorist attacks.
One of the really cool things about C.A.R. is our national presidents actually do choose, like DAR, where the president general gets to choose their project. our C.A.R. presidents do choose projects every year, and it's something they are passionate about. And they bring that passion to the National Society, and they get it to all of the members and the seniors of the society. And we do a lot of really great work. And our state presidents do the same thing. They have their own projects. We've actually been raising over $200,000 a year if you go from the National Society down to the state societies for different projects throughout the country. And I could not be prouder of everything that we've actually been accomplishing over these last couple of years. And it's everything from veterans to first responders to kids to homeless to, it's really environmental. It's across the board, and it's truly amazing, and all of the great things that our members are doing.
What would you say, Emerson, would be a reason that if people are on the fence maybe a little bit, they have children or grandchildren and they're thinking about joining C.A.R., what would you say would be a good reason for them to do that?
Well, C.A.R. has a lot of benefits that just come along. Things like public speaking, knowing how to serve your community, and knowing how to meet people, and just having an opportunity to meet people. From meeting people, you naturally have friendships with those people. And so you can also bounce ideas off each other for different things, and you kind of grow up in the society with them. You then have the opportunity to learn about Robert's Rules of Order and how to run meetings, and you get to build your speeches and build your agenda based on your knowledge of different things.
C.A.R. is such a great organization because it's one of the few organizations that really gives back to the members more than you put in. Our members get so many great opportunities. C.A.R. is not their only activity. C.A.R. is one of many activities. We like to call ourselves the cherry on top. We understand that our members have busy lives. They are doing multiple things. By coming to C.A.R., we are giving our members a chance to have something that other people don't have on their resume. And not only having it on their resume, it's actually developing a lot of soft skills. Emerson was just talking about the ability to run a meeting. So they know how to go through Robert's Rules of Order. Not only that, but the connections throughout the country. It's really awesome to have people all over the country. And then our members actually learn how to and practice public speaking. So from the state level and the local level, they start at 3-4 years old when they're getting up and getting in front of people just speaking. My daughter happened to get to be the Colonial kid. At 8 years old, she got up there and she had to read her line in front of the entire Congress.
Madam President General, I would like to present you with this gift. I would like to thank all of DAR for their support in all of children of the American Revolution.
Getting those opportunities is so valuable.
They say it's one of the greatest fears, right? Is public speaking. So what a great skill.
And I'm a teacher, and so I see kids every day, and the C.A.R. kid is by far a better public speaker because they get the practice that they do not get in any other way, shape, or form.
So speaking of school and activities, tell us, Emerson, about your schooling right now and where you're going and what activities do you love to do?
So I'm from Pennsylvania originally, Marsh Creek Society, Pennsylvania. And so it's about a 4.5-hour drive to Liberty University where I go. I'm a junior. I do club ultimate frisbee, and we play against other D1 schools. And we do different things outside of that, just with the friends, like rock climbing, basketball, pickleball, tennis. If I backtrack a little bit to, I guess I'll go to middle school first. In the fall, I was doing cross country and soccer. Going into winter, basketball, and then going into the spring, I was doing baseball and track and field. With all that busy schedule, I was either like a national chairman or I was on the state board doing all these things for C.A.R.
Wow.
And then into high school, when I was a sophomore in high school, I was the state president of Pennsylvania. And I was, again, still a 3-4 athlete doing cross-country basketball and track and field.
That's amazing. You can do all of that and CAR at the same time. So
Correct.
people who wonder, well, my kids might not be able to do all of that. And it's like, no, yeah, you can.
You definitely can. Yeah.
Well, Jeffrey and Emerson, thank you so much for being here and talking to us today. I think a lot of people are going to gain so much information about C.A.R. and what is it possible for their children or their grandchildren. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It seems, for the most part, DAR members know all about our incredible and meaningful DAR insignia pins. These pins that DAR members wear represent so many things: our service, our patriots, commemorations, and our donations. These are assembled with pride over our years of membership. I think a lot of us are particularly fond of our donations pins, knowing that they show the areas in which we care most deeply. Those areas where we put our money where our heart is. So many of us talk about wanting or wishing that the younger generation was more patriotic maybe, or that they supported our troops and veterans, or that they knew more about our American history. Well, here is a group of young people dedicated to doing those very things. The motto of the Children of the American Revolution Society is service, honor, and courage. What important values to be teaching the next generation. This is again where we put our money where our mouth and our heart is. Now, did you know there are pins that you'll receive when you make certain donations to help the different aspects of the C.A.R.? Just a few examples. Not all kids who are leaders in C.A.R. can afford to travel to the different events that happen, so there is the Voyager Fund. Donate $50 or more, and you'll receive a square white pin with the bold letters C.A.R. on it. There's also the Apple Slice pin. Any individual making a contribution of $50 or more to the NSCAR Museum will receive the brand new red Apple Slice pin. It's just adorable. These donations support the educational programs in the Children's Room and the NSCAR Museum at our national headquarters buildings there in Washington, D.C. And of course, there is an endowment fund to help with the long-term support of C.A.R., with different pins given for gifts of $100, $500, and $1,000. Such a meaningful way to show your support for our next generation of leaders. There are more ways to give, so be sure to click the link in the show notes to see all of the pins offered for different funds and ways to support the children of the American Revolution. We leave you today with this quote by President Jimmy Carter. We thought it was fitting to share something our President General just posted on social media when remarking on the honor of witnessing the funeral procession there in D.C. As is the tradition for the President of the United States, President Carter sent greetings in 1980 to our National Society for Continental Congress, and these remarks were particularly inspiring. And I quote, "As we, the President and First Lady Rosalind Carter, travel across the country, we grow in admiration and respect for the success of your dedicated efforts to preserve our great American heritage. Throughout our nation, communities are benefiting from your public-spirited projects to restore historic monuments and to help our people gain new insights into our nation's past and a greater appreciation of their own family roots." End quote. Well, thanks for listening and be well, dear friends. Let's celebrate the stars and stripes forever and remember, with all of your ancestors behind you, you are the result of the love of thousands. Well, this podcast was written and produced by our incredible team of writers and editors, and we are, as always, so grateful for President General Pamela Rouse Wright and Historian General Suzanne Heskey for their constant guidance, to Jeffrey Voris and Emerson Sites-Byers, to Amy Seitz and Vicki Voris for being so generous with their time. The National Society Daughters of the American Revolution is a non-profit, non-political, volunteer women's service organization dedicated to preserving our American history, securing the nation's future through better education, and promoting American patriotism. Members are all lineal descendants of those who supported the cause of independence in the Revolutionary War. For more information, please visit dar.org. This is the DAR Today podcast.